Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Fed Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. Today is July 16th, 2025, and today is Wednesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, Nvidia makes new all-time record highs, despite the fact that the U.S. market sold off yesterday. I'm going to take a look at that. But first, looking at today, we have major economic events from the United States, Producers Price Index, that's PPI. That's an inflation report on the producer side. Now, looking at today, we have corporate earnings for Megaweight, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and Morgan Stanley. Now, looking at the market, starting out with the Forex symbols, the British pound and the Japanese yen are just off of their resistance or support, depending on who you're looking at. Now, looking at the indices, the Dow Jones and the Nasdaq both sold off. Looking at commodities, natural gas actually makes a nice crossover the moving averages. And looking at the stocks, there was a sell-off across the board besides Nvidia spoken about. Now looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin consolidates. So let's look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. Here we go with the GBP USD. Now we did retrace below supportish level. We're hitting another minor supportish level at this 133.71, and that's where we're bouncing off of. So this is super important. Now remember, the GBP and the Japanese yen are trading almost in tandem, okay, against the US dollar. This is super important because you gotta have to, put them up against each other because the euro is super strong recently. But look at the opposite side. The Japanese yen getting weaker versus the dollar and getting to key areas here, and now it's showing some red and getting stronger. So this is kind of interesting. I'm going to look at both of them to see if one is going to go ahead of the other, and then I'm going to play both of them against each other. And this is a really great setup because you could gauge the relative strength of two currencies versus one common denominator currency, which is the US dollar here. So this is a nice move on both of them. Now looking at natural gas, it's creating a really nice setup right here. Okay, we're looking at a daily. Let's take a look at a 4-hour chart. Yes, we did cross over 3 moving averages here, and specifically we crossed over the 8-day over the 30-day moving average, and that created a nice little move up. It's about 20 cents, which is huge for natural gas, okay? And we're getting into this resistance area right now. Question is whether or not we'll plow through it to 357. That's our next resistance area, okay? So a nice little setup here, and it is coming. You could see that on the RSI. It's coming to the top of that resistance area. So this is significant resistance. So if it doesn't push higher, it's going to go lower, and that could create a really great setup. Now looking at the Dow Jones. Dow Jones sold off over 400 points yesterday, which is a decent sell-off, okay, altogether from 44,500 to 43.94 right now, okay? And as we're getting weaker, okay, this was at capitulation, okay? We were at a really decent resistance level. And looking at the NASDAQ, it sold off, but not that big. Now, why is that? Well, because the tech stocks are super strong. Like, look at Nvidia making all-time record highs yesterday at 169. This thing is a monster and doesn't go down. Like, looking at AMD, also a push higher. AMD has gotten super strong and actually is up on the year much more than Nvidia. If I just look at a yearly chart between the two, AMD surpasses Nvidia by about 7 to 10%. Okay, so that's a big move for AMD. Now looking at the rest of the markets. Now JP Morgan did come out with its quarterly earning reports yesterday. It did retrace just a little bit. Now today we've got corporate earning reports from Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, and Goldman Sachs. And all of them super important. Now the Bank of America we do follow, and it did retrace ahead of this corporate earnings today. So interesting to just note that, okay? And the earning reports are going to be before the market opens in the U.S., so it's about 3 p.m. South African time. If you look at Microsoft, did plow back to its all-time record high. So the markets didn't sell off altogether, right? Markets sold off in specific areas, okay? So if we look at Amazon, we saw, again, some strength there. If we look at Tesla, we saw some weakness there, okay? So yesterday's sell-off was really representative of just the people just taking money off the table as we hit resistance level. Now looking at Bitcoin, it's consolidating at this 118-ish area. We're just shy of our all-time record highs by about 5 grand, but this has been really super strong and it's consolidating in the upper range. I don't want to do anything right now. I want to see some sort of breakout to the upside or downside. This is Federated Zach. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.
My advice, this is the best time to trade.